Hello and welcome back to Climate TV, brought to you by the Climate Group. My name is Eduardo Gonçalves. Today I'm going to be speaking with Kyra Appleby. She's the head of cities at CDP. Kyra, let me start by asking you, you've just brought out a new report about the role of cities in tackling the challenge of climate change. Clearly there's a lot of innovation going on. Cities represent half of the world's population. What's going on? What does this report actually tell us?
So we took a look at the energy mix of the electricity in cities around the world, and we found that there was actually quite a lot of difference in the energy mix. So if you look at cities in Latin America, we saw that up to 75% of the energy mix was from clean sources, which is very different from the situation in Asia and Australia, which is where it's around only 15% from clean sources. So although there is a big difference, the good news is that cities are taking action around the world. Over 1/3 of the cities that we surveyed said that they're taking action to decarbonize their energy supply and to move towards cleaner electricity. And the way they're doing this really varies. There's cities like Cape Town in South Africa, and they're focused on installing solar hot water heaters. Which is very different from in Taipei, where they're looking at installation of photovoltaics. So depending on the individual instance of that city, what they're doing is different, but what they have in common is that they're taking action to move towards clean electricity.
So, what then is the role of cities in tackling the economic costs of climate change?
The role of cities is huge. Cities are really on the front line of climate change. They're affected at a very local level. They're the first ones there. They're protecting their citizens. They're protecting business. But likewise, they're also seeing that acting on climate change can have a big economic opportunity for them. Over 3/4 of the cities that we surveyed, and this was over 300 cities around the world, said that acting on climate change presents an economic opportunity. And one of those economic opportunities that they focused on was a chance to improve their energy security. So there are cities like Belo Horizonte in Brazil, where they've said this really gave them the impetus to focus on solar power. And in Sydney, this became a big reason for them to focus on trigeneration.
CDP has been collecting data around cities and companies as well for a very long time. And now you're working with the Climate Group to gather data from states and regions as well. What is the importance of actually gathering all of that information? What difference does it make?
We see the opportunity is huge, and there being just a really big potential there that we're just beginning to explore. There's a lot of overlaps in our data set. So for instance, we have world leaders like the state of California who are really pushing the clean electricity boundary, as well as cities like LA and San Francisco. San Francisco also has a really strong 100% clean electricity target. So there's a lot of synergy there that we have yet to explore. But we're really eager to start diving into the data and looking at overlaps across the world, not only in the US, but in Brazil, for instance, we have the states of Sao Paulo and Rio, as well as both of those cities reporting. So we really see there a big opportunity to look at these data sets, as well as the data that's coming in from corporations located in the same locations.
So, how can this gathering of information actually support efforts to reduce climate change, to reduce carbon emissions, and support those global efforts in mitigating the impacts of climate change?
Well, reporting on climate change, it's all about the steps that you take. It's the measuring, it's reporting, and then managing that. And by putting it all in one place, it's a big aspect of transparency, and transparency gives you accountability. Someone once told me that sunlight is the best disinfectant. So by putting those things really out in the open, it makes the cities, the states, and regions accountable for what they've committed to, and it inspires confidence at the national level in this year of negotiations that a nation can commit to something because they're being supported from the ground up by corporations, by cities, by the states and regions in which they operate.
Now, would you say that transparency and consistency is really key to the success of reporting schemes and data disclosure programs like this? And if so, why?
I mean, transparency is hugely important. And in terms of the standardization, it's that comparability, which allows you to say, okay, this city is doing this and this city is doing this, and why aren't they doing more? They're in similar circumstances. So it really allows you to keep score and allows you to make those comparisons around the world.
So what then is your message to governments and authorities who aren't yet reporting on their carbon emissions data?
Our messages start now. I mean, whatever you have is better than nothing. We've been doing this for 5 years, since 2011. In 2011, we only had 48 city governments reporting. This year, we had over 300. So it's grown 6 times in 5 years. And what we've seen is that when you first start, you're kind of at the beginning of your climate change journey. You might not be able to fill out every question. You might not have an inventory, but that's okay. Whatever you have is better than nothing. And over the years, we've seen cities improve in their reporting and improve in the actions that they're taking. We've been working with a large city government in Latin America, and they said that going through the CDP process actually helped them change the way they were thinking about risks and adaptation in their city. And that process of being asked the right questions can make a real difference. And we're seeing the same thing in the states and regions reporting. So the first year we only had 12 states and regions reporting in the pilot, and this year we already have over 40 reporting, and we expect to see more by the end of the year.
Tell me a little bit about the Compact of States and Regions. This is a new initiative that CDP is working with the Climates Group and other partners on. What information is being gathered here, and what's its relevance?
This year is a very important year with the upcoming negotiations in Paris, the Conference of the Parties. And what we've seen emerge from that is 2 really interesting, important initiatives, the Compact of Mayors and the Compact of States and Regions. And through both of those initiatives, city governments and state and regional governments are coming forward and making commitments to set targets to reduce their emissions and to act on climate change.
Kyra Appleby, thank you very much. I was speaking to Kyra Appleby of CDP. She's the head of the Cities programme there. And that's all we've got time for from Climate TV today. From all of us here at the Climate Group, we hope you'll join us again soon. Thanks and goodbye.